What did a crush do that made you instantly lose interest in him, her? Told her I liked her. Then she blocked me on all social media and bullied me harshly whenever she saw me. Ouch. Not my crush, but someone who had a crush on me, or so I was told. She asked for my birthday, and I told her. She then calculated that I was younger than her by a week or so and straight up said to me I did have a crush on a guy, but then I found out he was younger than me, so now there's not crush. Damn dude. Rejected me. Don't keep trying when you know it's pointless, guys. He drove like an idiot while I was in the car. I literally thought he was going to kill us. And he was road raging the whole time. This was on the highway too. I asked him to stop driving like that and he didn't. Never going out with him again. Acting like a complete dickhead. And when I addressed it he said I know I'm an asshole. But I'm really sexy like. Okay. Suddenly. You're really not sexy at all. Great way to find out she both forgot about our plans and had a boyfriend. Alcohol and cigarettes. We were 13 back then. I misunderstood a comment and he was a dick about it in front of a few people, laughing at my instead of kindly correcting me. What a head. He asked me to help him hook up with my best friend. A mix between sudden and extreme explosive road rage and a misogynistic rant that came out of nowhere. He's an ex now, but he's gotten worse. Showed his true colors obviously. I had a crush on a guy in 5th grade. He found out about my crush and made a really hateful nickname for me and teased me about my body. Got all of his friends to tease me too. Realizing he was a garbage person set me straight pretty quickly. I worked up the courage to ask this girl to go on a date. She said yes. On the date, she proceeded to spend the whole time gossiping about anyone and everyone she could talk bad about. I still remember the moment it clicked that she was just super shallow and mean. Tortured a housefly and gave an oral book report trashing my favorite book at the time for being boring and having too many words. Then started bragging he could have any girl in the school he wanted. Shortest crush of my life. Not something that she did, but her breath smelled like shit. Literally like shit. Got someone pregnant. Bully me to depression. She asked me if I wanted to go to a concert with her. Then she wanted me to pay for both tickets that I knew she got for free. Promptly laughed at her and told her she can f off with some other idiot. It's funny how fast the ugliness on the inside can overcome anything good on the outside. She did me a favor that day. Got in his car for a date and he rolled down his window and threw about 5 fast food cups out on the side of the road. Made a comment about there being enough illegals around to clean up after him. Nope. My interest was waning because he would brag about how he didn't read or see any point to reading. I thought I could maybe change his mind but was on the fence about if it was worth it or not to try. Then I drove past him parked a street or two over from his place. Just sitting in his truck. Smoking. Thought that was kind of weird. But NDB. Except when I asked him about it later. He lied and said he was at work on the other side of town. And besides, he didn't even smoke anyway. Helped me decide he wasn't worth any effort after all. Interest gone. I guess I should give more context. I was in grad school at the time. Love reading and learning. Worked in a library and was planning on becoming a teacher. I felt like he'd probably had a bad experience with reading growing up, so maybe I could help him and bring him around. It's not that he just disliked reading, he was against reading. Like, 80s movie bully reading is for nerds guy. That's so foreign to me that I didn't really think he was serious at first. Beyond that, we had multiple conversations about smoking and he'd told me unprompted that he didn't smoke, hated smoking, etc. Then he lied about it later. Looking back, the whole thing was shifty and a bad fit. I'm not sure how I stayed interested as long as I did. Made fun of a chick who was into him for being chubby. He was fluffy himself, and I called him on it and walked away from that. This guy that I'd been talking to for a while on Tinder who I thought was cool and cute but he never seemed down to meet up. One time he randomly messaged me to say he'd gone over to someone's place and they'd had sex 3 times. I think he was trying to make me jealous but it just made me feel a bit gross. She f***ed my dad. Best to not crush on your mom anyways. Was crushing on this girl for months. And it turns out at her last apartment she stole $1,500 for coke and abruptly ended the lease, giving her 2 roommates barely any time at all to find new housing, one of which had to move back in with their abusive mother. She started posting videos of her making out with drunk old men to her Snap. We're both in college. Didn't defend me when his friends tried to assault me. Just laughed with them. This is the long version of the story. I have never been popular. Was always bullied and stuff. One of the things people told me was that I was a prude, because I never had a boyfriend at that point. Apparently, some of my classmates got inspired by that and started a bet. Whoever could do me in a slang word in my language that can mean anything from making out to sex would win. Every contestant put in a certain amount of money. At the height of the contest it was about €100. That would be their prize. All of a sudden, I was invited to popular parties. People tried to make me drink. Random people started talking to me, flirting, groping. More and more people became aware of the bet, so even people I'd never talked to or who were complete strangers to me started to hit me up. It was weird. I was still in the dark about the bet and I didn't get why some guys, sometimes even girls, wanted to hang out with me or wanted to see me drink. Luckily for me I don't drink, but it was all very uncomfortable. My crush and I went on a school trip together with the rest of our year, and all of a sudden things get out of hand. People groping me. Now the supervision of the teachers is half gone. People trying to ask me if I ever kissed someone. The most scary experience was when a couple of guys cornered me in the park and told me, very detailed, how they wanted to have sex with me. Some of them were my classmates. Some of them were friends of my crush. One of them was my crush. You can imagine how scared I was as a 15-year-old. No adults in sight. Only me and these 10-16-year-olds. I was hoping my crush would defend me. He was a nice guy. Never laid a hand on anybody. Always friendly. But he just laughed. They were telling me how they would rape me and he laughed. It took 2 more months before another girl had the courage to tell me what was going on. She used the word "do in," and I was too flustered to ask if she meant the light version or all the way. When I told the teachers about the bet, about all the people who were involved, about how no one told me anything about it, not even the girls, they told me I had no proof. Was imagining things again and that boys will be boys with hormones. What can we do about that? It all stopped when I got a boyfriend that very summer, who was 5 years older than me and would later turn out to be an abuser. He looked like he was 30 though, so I guess most of the guys got too scared to lay a hand on me. But yeah, that's how my crush lost my interest. Used a baby voice when speaking to me. I had been seeing this girl for 2 months in college and things were going alright. I was helping her move when she decided it was the moment to have a serious talk. She sat me down and in a very serious tone told me she had been doing some digging. She confronted me with the fact that I had dated black women. I kind of thought it was a joke at first. I guess my brain couldn't comprehend that this was still a thing. No. She was dead serious and explained to me that while she had nothing against black people, she didn't believe in mixing races. I was dumbfounded. I got up and walked out. Some guy the first went out with kept trying to convince me to sleep with him even after repeatedly telling him no. Some people just can't take no for an answer. She saw an Oreo in the cleaner's dustpan, picked it up, and ate it. That's called being resourceful. Threw rocks at a cat because she thought it was funny. That's no way to show appreciation to a funny cat. Here's a light-hearted one. I developed my first crush when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade. This was right around the time when Pokémon were first becoming really popular. So naturally I was obsessed with them. I had the cards, the Game Boy games, etc. One day I overheard the girl I had a crush on talking to her friends at recess about how weird Pokémon were. And thus in a flash a young love was extinguished. Fast forward about 22 years and my wife also doesn't like Pokémon, because life is strange. You shouldn't play Dungeons and Dragons. You know, when you cast the spells in the game, you're actually casting them in your spirit, and that lets the devil get into you. I was like, wait, and I'm supposed to be the one who can't tell reality from fiction? Told me she has a crush on my brother. I'm sorry, Luigi. It just wasn't meant to be. Crush on a girl my junior year of college. She liked to heavily make fun of people, and I mean hard. Like to the point I would say hi to someone I knew. After we walked off she would have some remark. She went from attractive to not wanting to be around her really quickly. He was mean to his mom. Demanded money from her so we could go out in front of me. And then called his grandma to get some more money so we could go out. So uncomfortable. Let me add more details. We were both around 22. I met this person. Drove from the Midwest to Dallas with him, and was essentially stuck there for 2 days before my train was scheduled to leave. This behavior was not acceptable at all, and I felt uncomfortable the entire time. We were 5. Had planned to marry when we got older with a pancake cake and everything. I was invited to his birthday party and he and his friend was climbing a tree with him being higher up. Suddenly he pees down on his friend. We never got married. Found out she was a cousin. We were in class together and it was all a pure coincidence. Neither of us had any idea until a family member casually mentioned to me, "Doesn't her name go to your school?" Well, crap. We are 8 or so and he asked for a pen. So I gave him mine. He chewed on it. Instant turn off. Not me but my wife before we met. There was an event in Salt Lake City and she was from northern Washington. She had a crush on this guy and decided to join carpooling with him and couple other people. They stopped to grab some fast food and went back on their way. Well, as soon as he finished drinking, he tossed the whole bag out the window while driving. After that, she barely talked to him and once they got to SLC she left him and joined some other friends and went back home with them instead. It was a teenage crush. He had multiple girlfriends who didn't know about each other. Disloyalty is not cool. He tossed an empty drink bottle onto a random lawn as we walked down the street. We were out drinking. He got drunk and started fighting a guy that he thought had been harassing me. The guy said he didn't harass me. I said he didn't harass me. My crush still tried to defend me. Never lost interest faster. Found out he was a serial cheater and cheated on his exes with strippers and masseuses. Dude, she knocked over my Lego Death Star. She had to go.